Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Cozier-Phillips. C News is live at noon. Topping the news at this time, the new school term only started a few hours ago and already teachers from at least 2 schools have walked off the job. President of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, Lindsley Dudai, told C News there was an air-conditioned problem at the Princestown East Primary School. The second school is Hockett Batiste Primary in Morvar, where teachers have taken drastic action to preserve their health and safety.
Hockett Baptist Primary School in the Portland Education District, the teachers have also left due to health and safety concerns to the effect of incompleted repairs to the school. So those are the 2 that we have at this point in time.
Mr. Dudai said it's early yet, so we will bring you reports as we get them on back-to-school issues across the country. While parents of students attending the Agape Training Center Special Needs School in Irma this morning protested outside the office of the Member of Parliament. This morning, the school's principal told us the school has been at one location for the past 2.5 years. It was later said the building was up for sale at a cost of $7 million. However, they were unable to pay that cost, as such a meeting was sought with the Minister of Education, who is also their Member of Parliament. She said Mr. Garcia has failed to help them despite knowing what's taking place. When C News spoke with the minister on Sunday, he said he is not aware of the problem, which has been identified, but he is aware of the school. Well, just yesterday, the minister gave the assurance that all schools will be open on time. To other news now, several Caribbean Airlines flights have been cancelled due to Hurricane Irma. Flights cancelled for September 6th, the BW456 from Port of Spain to St. Martin, departure from Trinidad 7:50 a.m. and BW457 Kingston to St. Martin, departure from Kingston 2 p.m. CAL said affected customers traveling on September 6th will be permitted to change or cancel their reservations without penalty, subject to some conditions. The search for a new police commissioner and deputy commissioner starts today. The Police Service Commission has already started placing advertisements in the daily newspapers for the respective positions. The deadline for applications will be at 11:59 p.m. on September 29th. In 2012, Dwayne Gibbs resigned as the top cop, and since then, Stephen Williams has been acting in the position. The PSC is chaired by Dr. Maria Therese Gomes and includes Addison Khan, Martin George, Roma Achat Saini, Dr. James Armstrong, and Alfred Gray. While the Police Service Social and Welfare Association is hoping for a fair process as the search for a commissioner of police and deputy commissioners gets underway.
The association will join with the rest of the population in anticipation that we go through the process of selecting a commissioner, and that the process speaks of transparency and accountability, and at the end of the day that the population and so does the association will be satisfied with the choice that has been made.
President of the association, Michael Seals, said they are ready to work with whoever is appointed, especially since members of the association intend to apply for the position. Mr. Seals said he, as well as his predecessor, Anand Ramasa, are considering the post. This is the C News Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at C News Live. The Oilfields Workers Trade Union is not in support of the new Petrotrin board, which was appointed by the government. On Sunday, similar sentiments were expressed by the Movement for Social Justice, which said government ignored the review committee's suggestions when it came to appointing a new board. This morning, the President General of the OWTU, Ansel Roger, said under the previous model, multinational companies operated Trinma and other projects with a profit. When that model was changed, the operations of Petrotrin were hampered.
And on the basis of the benefits that we saw that we got as a result of those particular model of governance, we felt that Petrotrin ought not to be integrated the way in which that the government then, the Minister of Energy, and of course supported by the Executive Chairman at that time, pulled Petrotrin into one major unwielding entity. And it is that unwielding entity that provided for the lack of direction, lack of focus, lack of competence, lack of accountability, and of course Petrotrin suffered as a result of that. And it is on the basis of all of those experiences we were consistently hammering that Petrotrin ought to be operated, ought to be separated, and ought to be operated with a different governance model. Independent business unit.
He said the OWTU wants to be involved with choosing the board members.
We know without a guess that there are persons in Trinidad and Tobago with the country's interests at heart, with Petrotrin's interests at heart, and of course that will do a much better job from the get-go than those who were appointed. I am certain that the good intention of the Prime Minister, all of these nice things that he said, that it would not suffice, we would not benefit.
Now, the Island Hikers Fitness Workers Group has been suspended from the Hiking Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Island Hikers Fitness Workers had conducted the hike to Hollis Falls on August 19th, where hiker Richard Baird died. The announcement today from HATT follows a meeting with its board of directors and Mario Russell, one of the principals of Fitness Workers Island Hikers, last Friday. HAT says based on those discussions, the directors agreed that this hiking group disregarded certain fundamental safe hike management practices and views these transgressions as very serious and inconsistent with the goals and objective of HAT. The Island Hikers Fitness Workers membership has been suspended pending the implementation of actions to reform its hike management practices. Now for the weather. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service is informing the public of long-period swells that are currently affecting the coastlines of the Caribbean region and thus both Trinidad and Tobago as well. The long-period swells are forecast to continue until Wednesday evening and will peak between Tuesday 5th and Wednesday 6th. Now, these swells are being generated by Hurricane Irma, which is currently about 610 miles east of the Leeward Islands. Numerical weather prediction models forecast northerly swells of wave intervals in excess of 12 seconds. This means that the time between successive swell crests will be 12 seconds or more. These long-period swells may be low amplitude, but as they approach shallow water, the wave heights can increase sharply. Fisherfolk and citizens in particular, those residing along coastal areas, are asked to be on the alert for these forecasted sea conditions. All necessary measures must be taken to preserve life and property. A joint select committee of Parliament will begin to examine the issues surrounding the procurement and maintenance of the inter-island ferries. 47 people are expected to appear before the JSC, among them Works and Transport Minister Rohan Sinanan, as well as former Works and Transport Ministers Stephen Cadiz and Fitzgerald Hines, also members of the current board of the Port Authority. Today's hearing will be heard at the office of the Parliament from 1 p.m. Labor Relations Consultant Robert Giuseppe says the reintroduction of TTT to replace CNMG could be a good move. However, he's concerned about what he said was the retrenchment of the 112 contract workers.
Packages and
instead of giving you 45 days notice, that employer, I don't want to deal with the minister, that employer decides to tell you that I mightn't take you back, So that is part of the 45 days notice, I mightn't take you back. So kind of start bracing for yourself, you understand? Foolishness. This is Trinidad and Tobago. This is Trinidad and Tobago. This is a democratic state. So the workers have no choice.
He said for the station to be successful, workers must be allowed to be part of the decision-making process at the highest level.
And seeing how this employer operated in the last 3 or 4 months, right? And you and your colleagues have to be very skeptical. Have to be very skeptical in terms of what will be your contribution. It's a good idea because in my time, TTT was the television station,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
And we used to enjoy it.
Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly, has extended condolences to the family and friends of Dr. Claire Broadbridge, who lost her life in a brutal and tragic manner on Saturday, September 2nd. The minister said, in this time of grief, we commit to honoring the legacy of Dr. Broadbridge by continuing to work towards strengthening our communities and challenging the further normalization of violence through mediation, sustainable community development, and the promotion of healing, resolution, and empowerment through the arts. Dr. Gadsby Dolly said Dr. Broadbridge, who served as director of the National Museum from 1983 to 1997, will be remembered for her commitment to preserving our tangible and intangible heritage. While with the start of the new academic year, one pediatrician says the move to ban the sale of sweetened drinks in schools is a good move, and she's encouraging parents to ensure their children drink more water.
Pediatrician Dr. Gillian Wheeler has welcomed the move to ban the sale of sweetened drinks at schools across both islands. However, she is questioning why students are still allowed to take in the drinks once it's purchased outside the school's compound.
The ministry has the data from some surveys that were done, and in 1999, about 11%, so 1 in 10 children was overweight. And in 2009, that was about 23%, which is almost 1 in 4 children. So in the average classroom, you're talking about probably 4 children being overweight.
She said in 1999, 1 in 50 children were obese. A decade later, the ratio moved to 1 in 8. The drinks that are allowed in schools are water, 100% fruit juice, and low-fat milk. But the reality is, if they don't get it in school, there is a good chance they will get it at home or elsewhere. Dr. Wheeler said a public education campaign is needed to educate not just students, but their parents as well.
This, banning the sale of the drinks in school, the children can still bring the drinks into school. So, of course, a public education campaign as to why this measure has been taken would certainly be beneficial.
Dr. Wheeler said reducing the sugar intake can reduce the chances of health complications. Rishi Harinanan, CNews.
Well, we begin with basketball. Straker Nets beat UTT 80-70 at the Jean Pierre Sports Complex to take Game 1 of the best of 3 semifinals of the North Zone Big Four. Sadiki Guerra scored 17 points, but Mariba de Freitas dominated the boards with 15 points in the paint. Ian Wason has more.
Mariba de Freitas was unstoppable in the low post. Not too sure if this was a shot or a pass, but I know what this is. It's 2 points for de Freitas and a 46-30 lead for Straker Nets in the third quarter. Brandon Kelly scored 10 points for UTT, 2 of them coming here over de Freitas. They cut the deficit to 14, 32-46. Almost a carbon copy of an earlier play. More second chance points for de Freitas as Straker Nets lead 46-34. But UTT tried to do that too, but it didn't quite work out the way they wanted. Instead, Ronald Winter with 2 on the other end for a 51-34 lead. Sadiki Guerra counted 4 3-pointers in his 17 points. He led Straker Net scoring. The score here 56-38. But UTT would go on a run. Lazaro Campbell dunking here, but our view was hidden by de Freitas. UTT had brought the deficit down to 4 when Joel Hines saw the lane open for 2 and to re-establish a 6-point lead, 70-64. Winter had a 3 late in the game to put Straker Nets up 80-66. But UTT would close off the game with 4 unanswered points, but it wasn't enough to prevent going down in Game 1, 80-70.
I expect them to come even harder. They came hard today, but I guess we were just the better team at the end of it. We just need to clean up our small mistakes that we're making. At the end of the game, before any turnovers we made, I made too much turnovers. But next game, we'll clean up on that, and we promise the W at the end of it.
Game 2 is on Sunday. Ian Wason, C Sports.
To some cricket now. Evan Lewis blasted 97 not out from 32 balls to take St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots to the playoffs of the Hero CPL, and they will come up against the Trinbago Knight Riders on Tuesday. Barbados Tridents, who needed to win big, failed to post a decent total after being sent into bat. They got to 128 in their 20 overs. That score posed no bother to the Patriots, who got to 129 without loss in just 7 overs. That victory meant Patriots stayed at second position after the round-robin portion of the competition and will play table toppers TKR. The other playoff match will see Guyana Amazon Warriors take on the Jamaica Talawas on Wednesday. Just a reminder, the winner of the first match will go straight to the finals. The loser will have another shot. They will take on the winner of the second playoff. The loser in that game goes home. The remaining 4 games will take place at the Brian Lara Stadium. Well, that's it for sport. Well, back to one of our top stories. As we told you, parents of students attending the Agape Training Center, a special needs school in Irma this morning, protested outside the office of the Member of Parliament. The school's principal told us the school has been at one location for the past 2.5 years. It was later said the building was up for sale at a cost of $7 million. However, they were unable to pay that cost, as such a meeting was sought with the Minister of Education, who is also their Member of Parliament.
Well, when we came to the office this morning, the persons at the office closed the door to prevent us from coming inside to make the appointment. And when we told them that the minister told us to come to make an appointment, they only allowed 2 persons to come up to the office. It was made, but they said they're not sure if we will see the minister on Wednesday.
She said Mr. Garcia has failed to help them despite knowing what's taking place.
When we reached last week Monday, they end up putting the things for the school outside in the garage. No police officer or anybody was there. Children come for school this morning and no school. When he was campaigning for election, he used the name of the school without permission on the political platform, stating that when the school needed help, where was Roger Samuel, the then Minister of Education. So he's familiar with the school. All the paperwork that he sent in, it is not in the file.
Well, when CNews spoke with the minister on Sunday, he said he's not aware of the problem which has been identified, but he is aware of the school.
As the MP for Irma, and more so as the Minister of Education, I am always open to dialogue with our constituents and anybody who is providing a service to education in our country. And I know the Agape School has been providing a service for our students, especially those students with special needs, and I'll be very happy to engage in discussions with the owners with the principal of Agape to see what can be done.
Well, if you've been to the Piarco International Airport within the past few days, you would have noticed a change in the atrium. The airport's authority recently launched its multimedia display and airport lounge. It's been patterned after Singapore, a first world experience, according to General Manager of the authority, Hayden Newton.
The atrium is a sophisticated new service, a dynamic digital experience, and a comfortable airport lounge, where our passengers can, and as our tagline states, relax, connect, and recharge. We took the general lobby area of the airport and have transformed and optimized the space to improve our services, general aesthetics, and airport ambience.
And that's how we end our CNews report at noon. I'm Karen Kuzer-Phillip. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the CNews website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.